Welcome to the Algebra course. I hope that you will enjoy this course as much as I have enjoyed making it. I want to give you just a little bit of an introduction to me and also to the subject of algebra before we dive into this. I am not going to belabor this section. I just quickly want to go through and give you some pointers here. So if you look at the introduction section of your notebook, the first thing you see is a picture of me, and my name is Amanda. I have been teaching in adult education for a very long time. I like math and science very much, so I am someone who enjoys teaching algebra to adults. My contact information is at the bottom of this screen. Email is the best way to get me, but the others work. Just know that they may not be as quickly read, and I won't respond as quickly sometimes to phone, but email always works. Okay, I want to start off with the question, what is algebra? Because I find that students have a lot of misconceptions about what algebra really is. And it is a branch of math that deals with unknown numbers. The purpose of algebra is to find the value of an unknown number that means something in your problem. So as we begin to work through these equations and ultimately the word problems, you will see that we are always looking for an unknown value. And that's really what algebra is in a nutshell. So if you can keep that in the back of your mind, that you're always searching for that unknown value in the problem, and that will help you to understand the problem sometimes a little bit better. The next question is, does algebra scare you? And if it does, you're definitely not alone. A lot of students come to class, some of them are terrified of algebra, and I think that comes from lots of factors. One thing is they may have had a bad experience in the past with algebra, and they've just carried that feeling all through the years. Another issue that I've seen is that students didn't learn the algebra correctly and were never doing it correctly, and so the ultimate end of that was a bad experience. But please believe me that you do not need to be afraid of math, of any math, not just algebra. Math has rules, and once you know those rules, it is much easier to deal with. So if you've had a bad time with math, I know it's easy for me to say, but please try to put that experience aside and give yourself a chance to learn a new way of doing the algebra. And I really think that you'll find this, I'm not going to say easy, but I think you'll find it much more comfortable than you might think. So please bear with me and know that there will be some hard problems, there will be some hard times, but we'll get through them. That's my job, to help you get through those rough spots. I get the question a lot, why do I have to know this? Why do I even have to learn this stuff? Well, personally, I use algebra on a daily basis. It makes sense to me. I use it in my everyday life, not only on the job, but at my house with my nieces and nephews who need help with their homework. It's just everywhere in my life. But some other reasons that are a little more concrete. Number one, I don't mean to sound callous or rude in any way, but you need it to pass the HiSET exam. If you're going to get a high school diploma, you've got to know some things about algebra. And also other exams. If you're going to get into college or vocational school, even programs that don't earn a college degree but earn certificates like cosmetology and CNA programs, which are awesome programs to get into, they sometimes require algebra. So it can pop up in lots of places you may not expect it to be. The second thing, and I think this is the most important one, is to learn to think in a different way to solve very complicated problems. Algebra teaches you how to think. It trains your brain to think in a certain way, and that's really one of the ultimate goals. Some employment tests require you to do some basic algebra, and if you plan to go on to post-secondary school or vocational training, you may have to pass a proficiency test in algebra for that. But for whatever reason you're having to do this, this course should help you to master the basics that you'll need. Do I have to memorize a bunch of stuff to do algebra? And the answer to that is no, absolutely not. You will learn a process for doing algebra, and I'm going to start you on that process almost from day one. So by the time we get to the end of this course, that process will be so familiar to you that you probably won't even have to think about it anymore. It just becomes an automatic thing to do. So don't worry about having to memorize 10,000 things. We're going to memorize one process, and it's going to work always. So how does this course work? You should have received a notebook from us when you signed up for this course, and it will look very much like the one you see on my screen right now. I will be using a notebook that looks like yours so that you can follow along in your own notebook. I'm using the Casio FX260 calculator for this course. You can use any calculator you want, but the keystrokes may be very different. Also, the Casio is what will be available to you at the HiSET exam. So I encourage you to please get familiar with the Casio. We are going to start out with the most basic problems possible. We will work through problems that gradually get more difficult. And finally, we will apply our skills with very difficult word problems. And I have arranged the course so that you cannot skip ahead. I do not want you jumping ahead to the word problems because, quite honestly, they may scare you to death. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to follow along with me at the pace you're supposed to follow so that you develop the skills you need as we go. Skipping ahead is not a good thing in advanced math. You need to get the basics from the bottom up, and then it works much easier. There are quizzes and tests along the way. Please do not skip these. You don't have to turn them in to me. I just want you to take them as many times as you like until you really get comfortable with the problems. There are also some practice sheets built into each module, so you can have some opportunity to practice the skills before you move to the next module. Okay, I will see you in the first module, which is the theory. And actually, I'll see you in the next video, which is the calculator tutorial, and then we'll get into the theory module. So the next videos will come soon, and I'll look forward to speaking with you again.